everyone. Thanks for joining us. Until the gains have become enjoyable, the deregulation of the downstream oil sector to a segment of society should not be attempted. But how will the gains accrue if the exercise is not committedly and holistically implemented? The Honorable Minister of State Petroleum Resources has been very discerning, and correctly so, in this matter, pointing Nigerians to the big picture of profitability, prosperity, and appropriateness for growing Nigeria's refining capacity, etc., etc. We've got the details, even as NNPC is looking at economic growth via domestic gas utilization deepening, plus more gas. NNPC and SIPCO signed gas development deal, enhancing the gas-powered economic transformation being pursued. We're also beaming the extra searchlight on infrastructure deficiency plaguing the oil and gas industry, which the National Oil Company is positively engaging creatively and transparently. The African Business Leadership Award 2020 has been conferred, and the winner is in the details. I'm Akin Agbejule. This is Oil and Gas Forum.
It is time we took our fates in our hands by supporting the government in the complete removal of subsidy on premium motor spirit, otherwise called petrol. Subsidy on petrol benefits the few, facilitates corruption, and stifles national development. The ultimate savings will be deployed to build schools, hospitals, roads, rails, and other infrastructure. Avoid the callings of enemies of progress.
NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Timipre Silva, has said the nation's refining capacity would be boosted with the deregulation of the downstream oil sector. Chief Silva disclosed this in an interview on Channel's television breakfast program, Sunrise Daily.
Look, we have a timeline. We gave Labour a clear timeline for fixing these refineries. We are signing the EPC for Port Harcourt Refinery by December this year. And we believe that by end of next year, 2021, 50% of the Port Harcourt will be ready, 50%. And then by 2022, the Port Harcourt refinery rehabilitation would have been through. And then, of course, we will go on to Warri Refinery. Of course, the processes are also on, and we gave Labour a clear timeline, and they saw the workability of this timeline.
He speaks more on efforts to introduce the use of compressed natural gas, CNG, liquefied natural gas, LNG, and liquefied petroleum gas, LPG, as alternative fuels for premium motor spirit.
You have the CNG, compressed natural gas, LPG, and LNG. And these are all going to be delivered. So you can either convert your car to CNG, you can convert your car to using LPG, or you can convert your car to using LNG.
In keeping with the objectives of the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the Paris Climate Accord, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) is focusing on growing the nation's domestic gas utilization for balanced economic growth. Group Managing Director of NNPC, Malam Kyari, disclosed this at the Business Day Energy Series Summit, which held virtually with the theme, Nigeria at 60, Harnessing Nigeria's Energy for the Future. The GMD restated NNPC's commitment to the aggressive implementation of the Nigerian Gas Master Plan as a way of stimulating massive and sustainable economic development using natural gas, which the nation has in abundance. Malam Kyari, who spoke on the topic, NNPC's perspectives on Nigeria's gas sector development, said apart from the corporation's commitment to deliver key gas infrastructural projects such as the Escravos-Lagos Pipeline System 2, ELPS 2, the Obiafun-Obricom-Obem OB3 gas pipeline, the Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano AKK gas pipeline and Central Gas Processing Facilities CGPFs. NNPC was also working on growing domestic gas utilization to 5 billion standard cubic feet of gas per day and developing 5 gigawatts of power generation by 2022.
At the NNPC, we are aggressively pursuing other gas development initiatives with the aim of improving Nigeria's economy using the appropriate fuels. In terms of gas and power, we are developing and integrating gas and power infrastructure networks. That means increase in the connectivity as well as stimulating gas demand and power generation future and all other related issues.
He said NNPC was also exploring partnerships and investments in transmission to unlock evacuation and improve power distribution across the country, stressing that the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas NLNG Train 7 will be delivered by 2024.
We are equally collaborating among key industry players and government agencies on key sectors, even as we are developing energy-related policies and investment to attract foreign direct investment with the help and support of the federal government.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) and Sterling Exploration and Energy Production Company (SEPCO) have signed an agreement for the development and commercialization of gas from the oil mining lease OML 143 that could help reduce gas flaring in the country. Speaking at the agreement signing ceremony, which held at the NNPC Towers, the Group Managing Director of NNPC, Malam Kyari, described the execution of the deal as a great milestone as well as a testament to NNPC's commitment to facilitating the nation's transformation into a gas-powered economy.
Apart from the commercial and monetary value, we also know that this project and this process will improve gas utilization in our country. It will achieve the objective of government to deepen the utilization of gas in the country. It's cheaper, it's cleaner.
On his part, the chairman of SEPCO, Mr. Tony Chukwueke, described the deal as an essential partnership that would help the company fulfill the pledge it made to support the efforts of the Nigerian government to eliminate gas flaring by monetizing it.
The gas that we produce will no longer be flared. It is going to go into our gas plant to produce very useful LPGs as well as condensate and dry gas, which we put in the domestic market.
The Group Managing Director of the Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has been conferred with the African Leadership Commendation Award by the African Leadership magazine. The award was conferred on him at the 5th U.S.-Africa Investment Forum and the African Business Leadership Awards 2020, which was held virtually. Speaking at the ceremony, Malam Kyari commended the African Leadership magazine for recognizing the little effort to reposition the NNPC by his management team to deliver value to the Nigerian people.
We didn't expect anyone would notice this, but this has also thrown up new challenges as us, telling us that we need to do more, that this company can deliver more value to its shareholders, and ultimately the Nigerian people will be happy that this company is serving them. So this is the perspective I see it as a recognition that more work needs to be done.
The African Leadership Award was designed to reward exceptional corporate leadership and contributions to the development of Africa and the great works that leaders are doing on the continent.
It is a generally well-known fact that the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) represents the federal government's interest in the oil and gas industry in Nigeria and globally. The corporation, established on 1st April 1977, runs the nation's national pipeline infrastructure that crisscrosses the country's vast geographical areas. The pipeline infrastructure includes 9 pipeline network systems, with a total of about 5,120 kilometers of pipelines. Part of the facilities are also the corporation's 23 product depots nationwide. In recent times, gas pipeline under the Ajaokuta Kaduna-Kano pipeline project, among others, are being added to the NNPC facilities. Although major and independent marketers in the country also own and operate some storage facilities. The pipelines, depots, and all terminal infrastructure are the arteries upon which the downstream sector of the petroleum industry depend, requiring that their operational integrity must always be maintained at all times for not only operational efficiency but also safety of lives and property of industry personnel, as well as those in the host communities. Regrettably, many of the infrastructure having been constructed more than 40 years ago yearn for full rehabilitation. The caveat, however, is that these are hard times. Public resources have dwindled exponentially. The ravaging COVID-19 pandemic is not helpful either, further constraining government's revenue substantially. Amidst the apparent gloom, however, came the welcome development when on Friday, 18th September 2020, NNPC undertook a public bid opening for the rehabilitation of its pipelines, depots, and terminal infrastructure. Necessary as it appears, it was not just holding the public bid opening that marked out the significance of the event. The thoughtfulness of the corporation's management under the leadership of the Group Managing Director Malam Mele Kyari to work around financing the infrastructure revamp, despite the lull in the global economy, makes it even more remarkable. Speaking during the bid opening session, Malam Mele Kyari disclosed that the rehabilitation of the downstream infrastructure would be executed through private partnership financing. Private companies, he noted, would construct, operate, and ultimately hand over the facilities to government after a recoup of their investment from tariff earned during the period that they run the facilities. This is a laudable arrangement which promises to enable an upgrade of the facilities, assures of their integrity, and boosts their efficiency. Apart from bolstering investor confidence for raising finance for other projects of national importance of this nature, without at the same time jeopardizing the liquidity of government. Another critical high point of NNPC's recent public bid opening for the rehabilitation of the pipelines, depots, and terminal infrastructure is that it underlies the corporation's commitment to accountability, transparency, and performance excellence, which has remained the mantra of corporation since July 8, 2019, when Malam Kyari assumed office as the 19th Group Managing Director.
At the very beginning, we are going to focus on the expectations of Nigerians. Every Nigerian expects this company to be accountable, to be transparent, to be able to deliver petroleum products without difficulty. They expect us to create employment for our country. They expect us to deliver on gas, so that at the end of the day, it becomes a national oil company that we're all proud of.
All the 78 companies that took part in the bid opening, NNPC maintained, would enjoy a level playing ground that would ultimately ensure that the best among them wins the offer. Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission's ICRC Director General, Engineer Chidi Izua, could not hide his excitement at the bid opening session when he enthused that the NNPC's management handling of the public bid was not only in line with the ICRC infrastructure drive, but it equally demonstrated that things could be done rightly in this part of the world to enable value addition for Nigerians.
But you're showing to the world that things can be done properly. It will be done to the best interest of everybody. And I want to assure you that as a regulatory agency responsible for public-private partnerships, we are your partner. We are there with you 24/7. And we will ensure that this is done in a transparent, credible manner that yields value for money.
Even Malam Kyari, who could be described as the organizer-in-chief of the occasion, spared no time in declaring that the exercise was in fulfillment of NNPC's commitment to transparency and accountability as an Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative EITI partner company, saying the corporation was only taking a cue from President Muhammadu Buhari's directive that all NNPC's operations must be guided by integrity.
I can confirm to all of you that it is the clear directive of Mr. President that this company must be accountable and must be transparent to its shareholders, and that we must take every necessary step to ensure that our transactions are not to our citizens of this country, that we do things for the common good of all of us.
It would be recalled that on August 18, 2020, the Extractive Industries Transparency International EITI made the NNPC one of its partner companies. NNPC, by the stroke of that recognition, joined a group of other 65 other extractive companies, state-owned enterprises, commodity traders, financial institutions, and industry partners committed to observing the EITI's support companies' expectations that include full disclosures of operational processes.
Mr. Kiari's leadership, the NNPC, has a very powerful commitment to transparency and accountability. It really does symbolize, I think, what you hope to achieve in the next few years under your leadership. And it very much, of course, aligns with what the EITI is about globally.
Another significance of the bid opening is that it held virtually. The challenging COVID-19 protocol would rather have been enough excuse to undermine the public bid for the pipeline infrastructure for companies with service commitments to accountability and transparency. However, NNPC in recent times has fully deployed artificial intelligence to boost its processes across board, and making open its books to the public is indeed another hallmark of the corporation.
And being a part of any EITI is going to give a global new interpretation to what NNPC is going to be going forward. You can't do this business unless you attract investment. And if NNPC is going to not have to depend on budget and then be able to attract investors to buy into their project, I think this will give them the type of credit worthiness, because the issue is being transparent.
The preponderance of views at the visual bid opening is that many other government agencies have a lot to learn from the emerging transparency profile of NNPC, which, in addition to ensuring integrity of its public bids, had caused to be published on 11th June 2020 the 2018 audited financial statement of 19 of its subsidiary companies nationwide. It was the first time such a feat would be achieved among government agencies in the country.
Hello, it's a pleasure to have you join us on the feedback segment of the program. My name is Julia Auta. The menace of crude oil theft is a big threat to the national economy. On today's edition, our roving camera is asking the public of their suggestions on how best to control crude oil theft in the country.
Crude oil loss has been a problem, very intractable. As a governor, I was part of the solution of that problem to some extent. I came up with the amnesty program, which the federal government adopted, and which resulted in at least a reduction of the losses. But we still have a lot of losses, and I think we should not have one drop of oil lost that is being produced. So we are going to focus on loss of production.
There is need for government to look at the corruption in the system, and also for government to look at the welfare of the people living in those areas, that is in the Niger Delta area.
Let them find something, either industry, tailoring, or whatever, that we empower these people so that when they're engaged, they will not have any reason to go and to steal oil.
The government of this country is supposed to beef up security in that region, and also empower the youth so that they will not be engaging in all those vices.
The government needs those who are within the vicinity to work with them hand in hand.
If the youth are gravely engaged, they won't be talking of, or they won't be thinking of how to vandalize our pipeline and other things.
The government should look into this by engaging our youth in some most job opportunities, so they can have the mindset or start looking around to steal our crude oil in the society.
My best advice for those that are engaging in this kind of art is that they should know that there will be an end. Anything you are doing now, just know that one day you might be caught, or one day you might not get away with it, or one day you will stand before people like this and you'll be saying, had I known? So it's better to just desist from all this.
From the foregoing, there is urgent need for synergy between the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and other relevant stakeholders to stem these incidences of crude oil theft in order for the nation's economy to continue to prosper for the common good of all. And that's it on this segment. Please stay with us for the rest of the program.
Hello and thank you for joining us again on this educative segment of the program. My name is Abigail Ojobo. Did you know that associated gas is generally regarded as an undesirable byproduct, which is either reinjected, fled, or vented? Non-associated gas, also known as free gas or dry gas, is gas coming from reservoirs that are not connected with any known source of liquid petroleum. Did you know that non-associated gas are developed primarily to produce natural gas? Did you also know that non-associated gas is found above some fluids or under the oil present in the oil reservoir, but in a state of equilibrium? Now you know. Please stay tuned for more on the program.
Hello and welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Oil prices fell, extending large losses from the previous as rising coronavirus cases heading into the northern winter prompted concerns about further restrictions on activities that could curb fuel demand. Brent crude for November delivery dropped 40 cents or 1% to $40.63 per barrel, while United States West Texas Intermediate WTI crude futures fell 32 cents or 0.8% to $38.97 per barrel. The benchmarks fell more than 3% during the week as global COVID-19 cases passed 1 million, having doubled in 3 months. Meanwhile, Market Intelligence Department of the NNPC's London office reports that the economic downturn has left a big gap in oil demand, and the market has turned to floating storage to cope with the resulting surplus of crude oil and refined products and the accompanying shortage of onshore storage capacity. But traders say the flow still bubble may be about to burst, leaving the market awash with unwanted products and excess shipping capacity. If that were to happen, the resulting downward pressure on freight rates and refining margins would further delay the recovery that the industry has been hoping for since the early days of the coronavirus pandemic. With diesel consumption sputtering and demand for jet fuel struggling to regain altitude, large volumes of refined products have been unable to find a home. Surpluses are being passed from one region to another like a hot potato, with flows now converging in the Atlantic Basin where a sizable glut has accumulated. Diesel exports from the US Gulf to Europe are expected to reach up to 1.4 million tons, about 350,000 barrels per day in September, while Russia's overall export volumes are expected to rise by some 25% this month. Asia has continued to export its gas oil surplus to Europe too, mostly via newly built very large crude carriers that still have clean tanks and need to sail to oil-producing areas to pick up their first crude cargoes. And that's about the size of this segment. I am Owigo Okolo.
Well, that's been Oil and Gas Forum for this edition. Thanks for joining us. The lucky number, if you ask me, nationally is 60. Happy anniversary belatedly. Make the best of the next year. Bye now.